So welcome to the Pool Chasers podcast. I'm your host, Greg Villafania, and we have Megan Kendrick back with us. How you doing, Megan?
I'm doing good. For a second, I thought we were going to have to reschedule because my daughter had removed my headphones from where they were supposed to be, but all is well. I found them and they were not broken.
Yeah, everybody listening that has kids can definitely understand that. Even the things that you can't understand why they would want to take it, like tools or, something silly. They just love snatching stuff up. They're a magnet to it.
100%. And it's like they know the things that you need or the things that you need to not be broken. It's like,
yes.
And like you said, even if they don't, there's no reason for them to use it or want it. It's just like they just know. It's like, ooh, mom needs that for something. Let's take it.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely understand that. So you just came out with the May-June issue, and
yeah.
It's really good. And I noticed kind of what do you call it? Editor's note?
Yes. Or like my welcome message. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I love those.
Yeah.
Actually, in PoolPro Magazine and all other magazines, I like to see what they have to say about it. And, you were saying that, you hadn't been this excited about an issue for a while. So maybe you could just share with the listeners why that is.
Yeah. So, man, I really do like this issue. Like, it turned out really well. There's a lot of stories in there that I was like, well, that'll be an okay topic. And then it came back and I was like, oh, yeah, that's really good. But I'm always super excited when we do our Power Women feature. So last year was the first year that we did it. We kind of did this Rise of the Pool gal kind of thing. We had a bunch of women from the industry on our cover. And so it's that same idea. We're just highlighting like 4 or 5 different women in the industry. And it's just really fun for me to get to do that. I don't know. Feels a little bit like a pay it forward thing for me, right?
Yeah. Because you're a woman.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In case you guys didn't know. But I just think it's great. I think we've got like such an interesting mix of women. We have women who've been in the industry for a really, really long time. We have one woman who, grew up in the industry, but has just started working in it full time. And then we have someone is almost pretty new, has only owned its business for the last few years. So it was just an interesting mix. They all had great stories, and I just get really excited when we get to do that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it turned out, really well. And let's talk about the cover. You have Jeanette Horn, she's in East Texas, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, Horn Family Pools. And this is another thing that I liked about this issue was, we will feature any business, big or small, right? And so Jeanette has been pretty much a one polar. She's worked with her husband some. He's in the pool industry and he kind of helps her out. And now her son works with her full time. But, so it's a great story. Like, they have a great little family business, taking care of a small area. Just, I love hearing from and about people who are just doing their thing and doing it well, caring about their customers, caring about what they do. And she just really exemplifies that to me. And so it was great to be able to have her in the magazine.
Yeah, it seems like a constant theme amongst people in the pool business as they talk about the flexibility. And, I read that part of the article where she was saying that, it allows her to, do more stuff with her family or watch her kids. And then the son came on and worked for the pool service company. And I always think that's cool that it allows you to do what you need to do. By no means is anything in the pool industry easy. But when you own your own business and, you can make up for stuff, later on in the day. Yeah.
And I really, what the fun thing about that is that she started doing pool service, like you said, so that she could take her son to all of his activities and be with him when she needed to be. And now he works for her, which is great. But he also just had a baby. And so he is doing some of that himself now, where it's like, he said it was really great because he was able to take the time to go to all of like when you first have a baby, you go to like a million doctor's appointments, like multiple times a week pretty much. So he was able to do that with his new baby, which, in a lot of careers that's not really an option. I definitely went to all those appointments by myself.
Oh, that sucks. But it happens.
I think I missed a couple. Right? Yeah, I mean, people have jobs and you don't have that kind of flexibility, and he was able to do that for his family and his new baby. So it was really cool how that all came full circle.
For sure. So we both have the magazine in front of us, and for the people watching on YouTube, you want to flash the magazine at us so people could see what the cover looks like?
There it is.
There you go. May, June.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, you want to know the other thing that I liked about this issue?
Yes.
You can tell I like it because I'm still talking.
You're not going to bring up, what are you bringing up next? Are you moving on from Jeanette? Because I do want to say something about that.
Oh, go right ahead. Yes.
All right. So she's awesome, and she engages a lot, social media with us and different things like that. But I just want to point out, like, this murdered out black house right here. People see it. I was like, dude,
yeah.
Was that a strategic move in using that lime green hose with the black house in the background? I was just like, yeah.
No, there was no strat, at least for us. I don't know about the homeowner or for her.
It's a total dwell house, but perfect choice for a photo shoot. Love the house.
That's really funny. Yeah, you know what? We leave so much of that up to chance, and it's pretty amazing when it works out that way.
Well, we hope people have somewhat of an eye for that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, they know what their prettiest pools are, right?
Sometimes. I hope so. Just make sure those tile lines are clean. But yeah, she picked a good one for sure.
Yeah. So what I was going to talk about next is a few episodes ago on the podcast, you and I talked about some of the things that we had coming up. And one of them was, I was like, we're doing a story about commercial service. I have a hard time finding, people to talk to for that. After that episode came out, your pal Dustin reached out to me, and it was great because I don't think he talked to you about it or anything. He just shot me an email and said, "Hey, I heard you on the podcast. We do commercial service. We'd love to talk to you about it." And so we just did an entire feature on their business. But it was really cool. I didn't write this story, but when I was in San Diego for the NPC show, I went in a day early and I spent, most of the day with them, and they took me around to a bunch of different pools, and it was so cool. I learned so much, and they were so kind to take that much time out of their day just to hang out and show me around. And we went to 2 properties that they service, and yeah, I'd never been in pump rooms like that before. So it was just such a great learning experience for me.
Seriously, I love Dustin. He is, what an honor, right? To go hang out with that dude, because the way he is how he is all the time. Anytime I call him or we see each other, he's just an amazing dude. I still remember him kind of approaching us at the symposium for Fluidra many, many years ago. And dude, we just hit it off right away. He had listened, I think, to the podcast, but I loved how he was so cool, but he also didn't care. Cause we were talking about Yelp reviews, and I'm like, dude, I love Yelp. And he's just like, dude, they fucking suck. And this is why, blah, blah, blah. But we just had this real kind of cool, fun debate.
I thought the really cool thing about hanging out with us and those guys was here I am hanging out with the boss, right? The owner of the company, and 3 or 4 of his employees. And they were their rapport with each other, you could tell, was genuine, right? They weren't putting on whatever for the boss. They were having honest conversations. You could tell they weren't acting any different because I was there. Things went wrong, we all watched, that kind of stuff. So it was it just felt really genuine and honest. And I loved in the story, one of the guys talks about he goes to Disneyland often, and Dustin's just just go. And I love that. That's how I like to manage my people and of course this is very different types of businesses, but I'm just look, if your work is done, go do what you want. I don't care. And he seemed to have that
Yeah.
same kind of attitude. Like, if you're doing a good job, if you're getting things done on time, if our customers are happy, then I don't care if you're putting in X amount of hours. I care that you do the job and do it well. So I really liked that.
Yeah, because I think Dustin too. He also cares just as much about life. I don't want to speak for him, but he likes to enjoy himself, like exercise and be with his family and do all
Mm-hmm.
these other things. Not just this, business owner or entrepreneur that's just like in the business and kind of blocking,
Yeah.
sort of everything out. Where it's like you got to be just like me. He wants you to do the job, but also, probably wants you to be somebody that he can stand and be around all day. Everybody
Yeah.
hates
And
being around, even if you're good at what you do. It's like, if you're not cool, it kind of sucks.
well, and if you're not happy, you're not cool, right? Like,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
doesn't matter who you are.
So do you
um,
normally do this? So page 12, behind the scenes, a day with Precision Aquatics, which is Dustin's company in San
yeah.
Diego. Do you
Yeah.
normally do these behind the scenes?
We do when we can. It's not something
Okay.
that we get to do as often as we'd like.
So I think in these behind the scenes thing too is cool. Like just seeing the person behind this salt cell says, "Don't mess up that salt cell, Joey. It costs about $30,000 to replace." I'm like, damn,
Dude,
what kind of salt cell
right?
is that? But it
No,
is
I know.
commercial. It's
Yes.
a big
But
boy
that was,
stuff.
I know that was really fascinating. We were in this pump room and we're looking around and I'm like, okay, so what is the one piece of equipment in here you don't want someone to mess up? And he's like, the salt cell. He's like, that is
Uh,
probably the most expensive thing in here to replace.
Dude, that stuff is crazy. I think said something about being intimidating, and that stuff. To me, yeah, it really is kind of intimidating.
Yeah, for sure. But it's like, um, yeah, but they just walked in there like they knew what they're doing.
Because they
They
do
were,
know what they're
I
doing.
know, right? They were on it. I think it was interesting too, like so much of what we talk about so much of what we do with on the residential side, like you're usually sending like one, maybe two people out to a job, right? And so it was interesting with this because it seemed like there were very few jobs where they're just sending one guy. It's like you're sending a crew out to take care of that pool because it's going to take, you know, one or two people to even clean it. And then you've got all of the equipment stuff to deal with. And yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah, and kind of moving on. I always think talking about good customer service on page 16, you have keys, codes, and security, making access easy for techs and customers.
I know.
I know every market's different, but that's something that was such a big issue here in in Scottsdale when we had the business out there
Mm-hmm.
because you've got a lot of HOAs, guard gates,
Yep.
padlocks on gates, hide keys, all kinds of crazy stuff, and that communication is just so key. And you got to have a CRM to
Yeah.
be able to tell you which properties are doing what.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really interesting too because again, it's like everyone kind of had a different approach to how they did it. So Spartan, which is actually here in my backyard, like their guys don't take home customer keys. Like they stay at the office, which I was like, I mean,
I mean, is
that's
that a normal thing for people to take keys home? I've
I don't
never.
know. I guess I just assume like you've got your route, you've got your stuff, it's in your truck, and you go home and go to work. No, is that not normal?
Not for me.
Okay.
I want that key back ASAP. And
Oh,
I'm going to
that's
watch your vehicle, make sure you're not going to see a locksmith or anything.
that's funny. Yeah. No, I mean everyone just kind of had a different approach to it, and it was pretty interesting. And that was one of those ideas where I was just like, you know what? I've never heard anyone tell me how they deal with this, but I have seen pool guys walking around with giant keychains. So why don't you just let's just find out what happens here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the key thing is that's a really big deal.
Yeah. It's
So, no, what were we going to say?
I was gonna say it's funny too. It's funny too because in this issue it worked out inadvertently where we had multiple people like bring up different advertisers and products that are in the magazine and other places in the stories. Like, we didn't say, we didn't go to these people to try to get a plug about a certain thing. But so I always think it's interesting when you see those things brought up organically, where it's like, yeah, well, you know what we've found is the best solution for this? It's this thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, their ad's like 3 pages over. That's cool.
Yeah. For everybody listening, reach out to Megan or myself. We'd love to know how you deal with the whole key situation and, the communication between the customer to your business and the technicians. Like, how are you getting access to those properties?
Yeah. And how high tech is it? Like, I got to tell you, I love it when I get a text message that says, hey, so-and-so's on their way. They're going to be there in 5 minutes. Like,
yeah,
I like knowing that.
Yeah. I mean, especially now we're like living in the time of, the Uber Eats, the different things like that, where, you're able to like track where your food is, when your Uber is going to come pick you up, your Amazon package. And, it's just got to follow suit to some degree, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, I mean, you're in people's homes. Like, I just, I obviously want you to be there, but I also want to know when you're going to be there.
Yeah. Moving on, not too far down, but it looks like you got into some ICF discussion.
I know.
And that being sort of, I don't know if it's like brand new being introduced to pool construction, but it's definitely been sort of a gray area where some people do and some people don't.
What do you think about ICF for pools?
To be honest, it's one of those things that I haven't seen too much of, or if I have, I haven't seen how long it lasts or any of the issues. So it's hard for me to really have an opinion about it. But I think I'm open to all innovation. Yeah. So if something can do the trick, why not?
That's kind of what I thought about too. And I was kind of nervous about this one because, like you, it's not something that I know very much about, right? And so I, kind of threw it out there and tried to get some pros and cons from different people. Because, I don't want it to seem like we're advocating for this or promoting it. But at the same time, I'm kind of like you. I'm like, I'm intrigued by this. Like, if this is something that makes building pools faster and better, then, we should explore it. But there definitely were some cons in there that seemed valid too. So. Yeah,
I'd love to hear more about that as time goes on. It probably, who do you think would be a good specialist to have on the podcast to talk about that? Was when you were doing this research or your team was doing this research, was there somebody that just was kind of more of an expert in that?
Well, I will say one of the reasons why we did this story is because Steve Mercer from Kentucky kept emailing me and saying, why are none of the trade magazines talking about this? And I was like, I don't know anything about it, but
we will now.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I'll learn about this. So yeah, he's a huge advocate for it. He does it, builds a lot of them, and he obviously thinks it's great. I mean, he sent me some very long emails about this, so he's very passionate about building ICF pools. But also, I mean, I felt like the guys from Build Block Building System, they sell these to people. They're definitely the ones who are probably going to know the most about it from that perspective. But man, Steve, he was on it. He's the reason why the story is in the magazine.
Very cool. Very cool. So what other articles are noteworthy? I think there's tons of good stuff in here, but was there anything else that kind of stuck out?
Man, I'm kind of like, I'm with you. And again, this is why I said I was so excited about this issue, is because I don't know that there's one story that I would call a dud. So there's a lot of good stuff in here. I will say this is something that has just been kind of interesting to observe over the last couple of months is we've been getting a ton of news from people. So that part in general has been fascinating. Like, our news section is way longer than it normally is. And there's not a whole lot of like filler news in there. It's like actual news stories. So it just seems like there's still, kind of a lot going on out there. And that hasn't stopped. Like, I think we're getting like 3 to 4 news stories up on the website a week right now, which is a lot for us. So.
Yeah. And I love that. I don't know if you normally do this, but you have the content marketing for pool companies portion of the magazine, and all of this stuff is, really good, especially like this outline a sustainable workflow and just kind of like coaching people and teaching people kind of how to build up that strategy. I think that's because, especially things like marketing, they're continuously changing. So, what marketing looks like this time next year is going to be a little bit different, and just having it in here, I love it.
Yeah, and I like that, like you said, he has a plan, like it's just kind of a simple plan that you can follow, even as things do change. It's sort of like,
is this by Kelly?
Yeah, it is. Build out a strategy, and you can like roll with it as things come and as things change. So I like that too.
Yeah, I saw him right here. I didn't know if he did the whole entire thing, but yeah, that's a very, very smart guy right there. He knows his marketing stuff for sure.
And I did like the break-even article. I mean, it's a lot to think about numbers, like to read articles about numbers, but break-even is something that I have been thinking about a lot in our business. I would really like to start to be one of those bosses that does open book management and like shares the numbers and all of that. And so that's something that I've been thinking a lot about, and break-even was kind of a key one for me, where it's like, that's an easy thing to share with your team to help everybody understand like what's the minimum goal for each month, right?
Yeah. Can you talk, because I didn't really get through all of that. Can you kind of just give a bird's eye view of what the break even is?
Yeah. So break even, I mean, just in general, is what is the amount of money where you start making money, right? So like, let's say you have to sell $70,000 of stuff. And then like the next dollar, that's your dollar, like, so break even covers all of your variable expenses that change with your sales, if your sales go up and down, and your just overhead expenses that are the same every single month. And so there is definitely a formula to do that. I was actually talking to my bookkeeper about it because they hadn't put our break even in our last couple of synopsis that they send us every month. And she was like, yeah, it's kind of hard to calculate, and we were really short on people. So yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. Martin makes it sound easier than I think it is. But it's definitely a key piece of information that I think pretty much every business owner should have. Like, you should know, what do I need to make money this month? And it's a moving target.
Yeah, and there's a couple examples in here. I'm sure these are like fictitious companies, but
I probably should have checked to see if there was a Cool Breeze Pool Company. I'm sorry, Cool Breeze Pool Company. We just made that name up. So if those are not anybody's,
it's like, I wish we did $1 million in sales last year.
Right? Or no, that was a month. FYI.
Oh yeah, that was a month. Jeez.
Yep. Even numbers are easier for these kinds of examples.
Yeah, so that's a good one. And then, of course, you've got the spread with the Horn family. Just going back through here. I love in the Power Women. I love that this woman you have featured, Jules Passwater. Anytime somebody's name is like water or pool related, I just think it's like so awesome. I'm like, Passwater?
Yeah.
There we go.
I know, it's pretty cool. And the fun thing about this too is like, so our designer just kind of went to town. So those illustrations are all original to us. Those were actually done for us.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So it was, so that was kind of cool. Like, she was really inspired by this article and really had a lot of fun going out and doing all the things to get that put together. So
yeah, those are really good. I dig it.
I know, right? They're pretty fun. I was a little nervous that like people were going to be mad at me because I don't know if they're all liberal. I don't know what all of their politics are, but I was a little nervous like, oh man, are people going to yell at me because there's not like a balance of political views in these women, but I don't know, and I didn't pick them, so I'm just going to feign ignorance.
Yeah, I think it's all good.
I think so too. It's fine. No one has complained about it.
Yeah. Well, there's so much
things that I worry about at night.
Right, I'm sure. But you've been good so far.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to see more, learn more about PoolPro Magazine, where can people pick up the May-June issue and, learn more online?
Yeah, so you can pick up a copy of the May-June issue at STP and Superior Pool Products locations. You can sign up for a free subscription on our website at poolpromag.com/subscribe. Yeah, and we got some fun stuff in this next issue too. I'm excited for our conversation about it because I think it's got some topics in there that you and I can have a lot of conversation about.
Hell yeah. I'm ready for it. Excited.
How's that for a teaser?
That's a good teaser. Well, thank you so much, Megan. I appreciate it. Have a good Memorial weekend.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Greg.